Welcome back, everybody. I know with these glasses the audio sucks, especially when I'm in the skid steer. Nobody has complained about it yet, but I have complained to myself about it because it kind of sucks, but it is what it is. I don't know how to make the audio any better while I'm running the skid loader. Anyways, I wanted to answer a couple questions that I get asked frequently. Got a lot of young viewers who are not farming but want to farm someday. They always were asking for advice and what have you. And plastics froze. I'm gonna try and give some my thoughts, advice, whatever. Take it with a grain of salt. I am no authority by any means on farming. I'm just a guy who grew up farming his whole life, and I'm trying to make a little bit of money farming on my own. First bit of advice I can give to anybody that wants to farm: if you're a male, marry a woman who has a good job. If you're a female, marry a man that has a good job. Profit margins are very tight in farming, and with a lot of the stuff, you've got to think of ways to save money in order to make money. And one of those ways is, like here, I don't have a TMR mixer. Sure, I'd love one. It's just not in the cards right now. Don't have to have the fanciest equipment to farm. Nice, newer equipment is nice. That's all it is. It's a luxury. It's not a necessity. This skid loader is a 98 model. I got a heck of a deal on it. When I bought it, it was spewing oil everywhere. I took a chance on it. I brought it home, and it turned out to be just the valve cover was leaking, spewing oil down the engine. So I bought it for half, less than half of what a comparable 763 was selling for in average condition. I've had this machine now for, gosh, I don't know, 6 years, 7 years, I don't know what it's been. I'll tell you one thing, it's a heck of an upgrade from what I had before it. I had a New Holland L35 with a 4-cylinder Wisconsin gas engine in it, and I used that one for a couple of years. That one, the engine was tired. It was going to cost a lot of money to fix it. And those of you that follow me on Instagram have probably seen pictures of my 4440 that I had, my 4430, and there's a picture of the three of them. It's the 4440, the 4430, and my 4020. When I had those three tractors, I was still a laser technician. I was still operating and servicing lasers back then, and I could afford to make payments on tractors. And then one day I decided I got tired of driving 2 hours every day to work, dealing with somebody else's headaches instead of just my own. So what I did was I sold the Great Bend loader that was on my 4020, and then I took the loader that you guys see on my 4020 now, this Quaker loader, that was on my 4430 when I bought it. I put that Quaker loader on the 4020 4020 and I sold the 4430 so I could quit my job. I figured I was making enough money raising bottle calves and with my beef cows that if I got rid of that one payment, I could just scratch together enough money to keep the farm going. So I ended up selling that New Holland L35 and I just used the 4020 for that winter. Maybe it was 2 winters. That's back when I put the cab on the 4020. As many of you have seen the cab sit behind the shed. That way I won't freeze my fingers off feeding cows in the wintertime. It worked. It's not near as nice as feeding with a skid steer. But the skid steer honestly is a convenience. Anybody that wonders if I have any waste, all I'm really having for waste are these frozen chunks that I'm throwing in a pile. And honestly, if I took them out to my cows, they would probably, chew them apart. But that's what most of this pile here is big frozen chunks. And then as I stir it, it starts to heat. That'll just get hauled back out in the field as fertilizer. But anyways, back to the skid loader. The skid loader is not a necessity, it's more of a convenience. 4020 with the loader could do everything. But there are certain things people want in life, and I want a skid loader and the convenience of the skid steer. So you don't have to start out with everything. You don't have to start out with the best of everything. Just start out. A little bit of knowledge going into it is an added bonus. Like almost anything with farming has to do with soil. It all starts with soil. It doesn't matter if you're raising crops or if you're raising cattle. It's not as important if you're just a feeder and you don't put up any of your own feed, then soil isn't as important to you. But if you're the kind of person like me that loves doing everything, if you love having the cattle, if you love doing the crops, you love combining, you love baling, you love doing it all, then soil's got to be the number one thing that's important to you above and before anything else. Because if you can't grow a crop, you're not going to feed anything or make any money. And then after that, or I should say along with that, with the soil, you need to have an understanding of soil and fertility. When I was growing up, I didn't have to worry about those things. My elders worried about those things. When I was a kid, all I had to worry about was doing chores and being a kid. I wish I would have learned when I was younger what it takes to grow a crop. But back then, all that mattered to me was sitting in a tractor and, running equipment. So I didn't learn that back then. So my whole deal in this YouTube is to try and pass some valuable information on to anybody else who is just getting started. Because in the long run, you're going to be farther ahead. And I can try and pass on knowledge that I've learned to make somebody else's life easier. Like, if you're a one-person show and you've got animals in a pen and nobody to run the gate, buy a drive-through electric gate. They keep the cows in for you. It's hard to make a living farming, and it's even harder if you go at it blind, if you have no clue what it takes to make it work. And if you don't know how to grow a crop, you're not going to make it work. So with my idea that another buddy of mine that like farming do not like any type of bookwork, paperwork, anything like that. And now I love it. I ask my wife how much paper I go through in a year, jotting down ideas and numbers and lists and everything. It's just another way to learn. Obviously, I'm a YouTube creator. I watch a lot of videos. I have a lot of you guys that make YouTube videos that I watch because I'm interested in what you're doing. I can't just jump in the truck and go show up at somebody's house one day and hang out. The only way I can hang out with anybody is watch a YouTube video. So to me, it's a way to get out into the outside world other than my own small little world here. But I watch a lot of other educational type stuff, such as webinars. I'm a night owl, but I don't like sleeping in the morning really either. So I'll stay up till midnight, 1 o'clock watching webinars on all kinds of different stuff. Just trying to get more knowledge, because knowledge is key. I mean, the more you know, the more you have in your tool belt to be more successful. When I quit my job as a laser technician, I took a job working for a neighbor just a couple miles from here who rotationally grazes over 400 head of dairy cattle. During the summer, they do not start a tractor to feed cattle. Everything is done by four-wheeler and polywire fencing. Yeah, I based a lot of my fencing knowledge or fencing setup off of what I learned from that guy. If he can rotationally graze 400 head of cows or 400 head of dairy cattle, and that's lactating cows, that's dry cows, that's heifers, and that's heifer calves, for the better part of the year, why can't I do it on a small acreage like this? I mean, when you've got somebody like that that can teach you a way to be more successful, it's why would you not take the opportunity to learn from him? I mean, he offered me good money to milk cows and to move cows. That's what the majority of it was. The majority of my time I spent when I worked for him, I would milk one milking, which was always afternoon milking because he always milked morning milking. While one person is milking cows, the other person is out setting up paddocks and moving cattle. And we'd milk 150, 200 cows in a swing 16 parlor, which we only ran 12 units because 16 is a lot for one person to keep up with. You'd move, 400 head of cattle in way less than an hour, because the holding pen and everything, the guy that was moving cattle would be in charge of cleaning that, and we could get about half of the herd in the holding pen at one time. So the person that was out setting up paddocks would also, once he's noticed that the holding pen needs more animals in it, you would put more animals in the holding pen. So two guys taking care of 400 head of dairy cattle in 3 hours a day, if not less. And if you could get the cows through the parlor faster, you could have done all of it in 2 hours a day or whatever. I mean, the limiting time constraint was the milking of the cows. So I learned a lot of my rotational grazing stuff from him. My operation is nowhere near what my goal is for it to be. Eventually, once my woods are thinned out enough that there's grass growing everywhere, I've got more fences to put up to divide everything to make it easier to move cows around. My farming here isn't, I don't base all my income off of one thing. I grow corn, I grow soybeans, I grow cattle. I spread it all out. Sure, I could probably make, I know for a fact I could make more money if I put more of this ground into pasture and quit raising corn and beans, but I like doing it all. So what's probably going to happen is in the future is there will be less corn and beans and more cattle, but I won't totally get rid of the corn and beans. It's just, I got the combine, I enjoy harvest, so I would never totally give it up, but I might cut back on it as the herd grows. I might be farther ahead to actually go out and buy bred cows or bred heifers right now to build my herd faster, but I have not bought an animal from anybody else since 2011, and many of you who watch my videos will remember the video about Holstein bottle calves and the last time I raised them. That was the last time I bought an animal that wasn't born on this farm. Since then, once those Holsteins left, I've had a closed herd, and the reason I haven't bought any more animals in recent time, like say right now when there's a lot of bred heifers and bred cows for sale on Craigslist for pretty cheap actually, I don't want to bring any foreign bugs home. When I used to bring Holstein bottle calves home, we were fighting coccidiosis and everything all the time, and you know, that didn't latch. I don't want to have to deal with that stuff anymore. I'll just slowly build the herd until it is up to what its potential is or what I'm happy with. You know, there's 16 cows out there right now. I've got 4 heifers, possibly 5, that will be joining the cow herd this year. And as many of you know, I sold 9 cows, not this last summer, but the summer before, because I pursued the corn and the beans instead of the cattle. Hindsight 2020, I probably should have kept the cows, added more pasture, I'd be making more money, you know, but it is what it is. But now I'm gonna put these 5 back with the cow herd, and that free Martin, we don't know what's gonna happen with her. Either she's gonna get bred and provide us with calves, or she's gonna get fat on grass and she's gonna go in my freezer. It's not a total loss. There should be 16 cows out there that are gonna calve. I am with these cows every day, the better part of the day, and I have not seen anybody in heat, so they should all be bred. So if all things go perfect, there are 16 more calves to be born this year. How many of them are going to be heifers? We don't know, but I will retain the heifers to add to the herd, because I have some cows out there that are knocking on 15 years old, and eventually they're going to have to be culled. So I'm going to keep my heifers and build the herd, and as the herd builds, I will make adjustments to the pasture, cut back on corn and beans. I'm also been watching a lot of videos on more grazing cover crops, so we might actually cut back on corn and beans and actually start growing some small grain that I can use for feed and bedding, but it's something that I can harvest sooner. Then I can come in behind it with a cover crop and graze that, which would reduce my grazing days on my permanent pasture, which in turn allows me to put more cattle on it, because then I'm going to follow corn silage with something I can graze in the fall. Let's say I raise oats, I can harvest that. Then all of a sudden I get my bedding. I don't need to raise corn for the bedding. I can put a cover crop in there to fall graze, and then I still have to grow some corn for finishing my steers, So I want to try and experiment more with grazing corn stalks just as long as possible. So on my little farm, I'm trying to experiment with other ways that I can survive without buying more land and adding more cows and becoming huge. I don't want this to be a job per se. Right now it's not. I don't feel like I go to work. Right now I feel like I'm out playing. That's the way I want to keep it. If it's something you got to go work all day doing it every day, it gets to be more of a job than fun. I don't want that. So that's what I've got going on here. I mean, obviously my wife has an off-the-farm job, so that helps tremendously. I mean, just in the insurance helps a lot. So you got to take all those things into consideration, and if you're going to farm, it helps to know what you want to do up front, and then it helps to have the knowledge of how do you make it work. I mean, everybody knows you make cattle work by feeding them, by raising cattle. But now get into it in depth. How do we grow the food to feed the cattle? How do we manage the nutrients that our cattle provide us, that provide the soil with fertility? How do we manage that? How do we know how to pencil that all out with what any additional nutrients we still need? Because cows take more than they leave. When an animal leaves the farm, you have nutrients that are leaving as blood, hide, meat, and bone. That's nutrients that disappeared from the farm. It's no different than selling hay. When you sell a load of hay, you have phosphorus, you have potash, or potassium that's leaving the farm, and calcium. You have a lot of ingredients there that are leaving the farm that have to be replaced. Well, it doesn't do you any good, or your soil any good, or if you have cattle, your cattle any good, to just go and buy whatever you think you need. You're farther ahead to know what you need and how much you need, or at least a very good idea. All the information that I have on the nutrient stuff, or anything, you have to take with a grain of salt. There's scientists that have studied and done research on this, and their numbers aren't 100%, but they're very, very close. So if you know that a 1,000-pound cow excretes 63 pounds of waste a day, it gives you a really good idea of what you can figure that you're going to have for fertilizer to put on your fields. That 1,000-pound cow might put out 70 pounds of manure. She might put out 50. I mean, I don't think the numbers are that far off, but the number 63 is a general idea for figuring. If you have all your numbers that you need to do these figures, plus your soil tests, now all of a sudden you have a really good idea and understanding of what you need to make it work. So, that's just kind of where I'm coming from and trying to help give any information to everybody else. I'm not trying to come off as a know-it-all or anything by any means, because I'm still learning every day. But if I learn something, I'm not afraid to pass the knowledge on to anybody else, because what good is it if you're the only one that knows? If I'm the only one that knows how to make whatever work and nobody else does, all of a sudden if I'm the only one that can make it work and everybody depends on it, I can't feed the world. It doesn't matter. You're better off teaching everybody else how. We got to stick together to make this work. So my advice to anybody that is not farming or has just started farming and they don't really know a lot of this technical information, I think it'd be number one thing to learn, the most important thing to learn, aside from how to raise a cow, or how to raise a calf to a heifer into a cow, or how to raise a steer. I grew up in the dairy and the beef, but growing up, we didn't push the beef. The beef were kind of a hobby. The steers were dairy and beef steers, and they were fed corn silage out of a silo that you just filled it and ate what they wanted. Nothing was pushed. A lot of our steers weren't finished till they were 2 years old or better. So for me, when it comes to finishing cattle, I am not an expert. I look up to all you other guys that give information on how to finish steers. I have an idea. I have a good idea of what my steers are before they leave. I've hauled enough animals now to have a pretty good idea of what the carcass is before I sell them. And being I'm really, really close friends with my butcher, I sit there and watch the scale. I actually physically, I am the one that brings my animals in to the slaughterhouse before they are dispatched to be butchered. And the reason for that being, I don't want anybody else handling my animals, because I take great pride in the beef that I sell my friends and family and everybody else. I don't want anybody else handling them. I don't want anybody else making my animals stressed. So my butcher allows me to bring my animals in, and then he waits until I give him the okay to take care of it. I want my animals calm, relaxed, and when it happens, they don't know what happened. So it's little things like that. But like I say, I'm no expert on finishing steers. You know, I know a lot more about the cow end of it, and when it comes to the steers, I'm still playing around. But I can pass on what I've learned, what works and what doesn't work, or whatever, and somebody can critique that and say, well, if you do this, it might be better. Or maybe I'll pass something on and save somebody else the trouble of trying that, you know? I don't know. So I think knowledge is key. So with that, I'm gonna have to say that would be my first bit of advice, you know. And honestly, I don't know of anybody that has a deep enough bank account that could just go buy a farm and start farming and not have an off-the-farm job. Just the insurance alone would kill you for health insurance. So I don't know how anybody could. And you know, I did it for, I don't know how many years, 6 years, whatever it was. So it can be done. Where there's a will, there's a way. I mean, there's nothing wrong with working an off-the-farm job to get your farm established. Once it's established, maybe then you can quit your job. But it's really hard to make a farm operate when you have all kinds of upfront expenses and inputs and not a lot of income. Once you get to the balancing point or the tipping point where you have the majority of your debt paid off and your income versus your expenses every year aren't as bad, you know, where you're making more income and less expense, then you could probably, you know, farm full time. So I don't know, my advice is find a decent job before you find a farm so you have an income, and then buy a piece of ground that suits you and start small and grow into it. But I wouldn't go head over heels into it and buy everything up front and have all that debt, and then the idea you're just going to quit your job. That's, you know, honestly, raising bottle calves isn't a bad thing. There's not a lot of money in it, no. There is risk in it. There's risk in everything. But with bottle calves, they're not a huge upfront expense. And if you do the math on, say you buy, it doesn't matter if you buy bred heifers or you buy yearling heifers and breed them, they're a lot of money up front, and there's a lot of risk before you even get a calf out of them. Then you still got to get that calf up to market weight before it's marketable. So there's a long period of time there before you make an income off of cows versus bottle calves. Feeder calves is another option if you have the money to go buy some colored feeder calves. You know, if I was starting over today, that's what I would probably do today. I would go to the sale barn or try to find, like around here, there's a lot of farms that only have 5 to 25 beef cows, if that. And there's only, within 20 miles of me, I can only think of 3 farms that actually finish steers. And when I say finish, I mean fatten them out to slaughter. Everybody else sells their calves in the fall or in the spring as feeder calves. So around here, it wouldn't be very hard to get in contact with some of these neighbors and say, hey, our local co-op has a scale. I can weigh my truck and trailer. I'll pay fair value, you know, in whatever the sale barn's bringing for your calves. I'll buy them. I'll save you the sales cost at the sale barn, all the commission, the insurance, the yardage, all the other crap that they charge. I'll save you that money. I'll buy them direct. We'll take them down. We'll weigh them. I'll write you out a check. I've got feeder calves. That's what I would do if I was going to start now. And then once you get a little bit of income, if you really want cow calf, then start buying some heifers or some bred cows with some of the income you get from raising these feeder steers. Like I say, it's hard. It's hard to make it, especially if you're going to finance everything. Because I don't know too many people that can go pay cash for a property. Let alone pay cash for a property, pay cash for cattle, pay cash for equipment, pay cash for any infrastructure you need. It's just, I don't know anybody that could, unless they're a millionaire. And if they're a millionaire, I don't know why they'd want to farm. You know, maybe for a tax write-off, whatever. But, so, I would start with a job and then look at something like that. But that's all I can tell you. And never stop learning, because there's always something to learn. I mean, and the other thing, I watch stuff on YouTube that I watched years ago, and all of a sudden it pops back up on the recommendations, and I've watched it now 3-4 times. I mean, you learn, and then you forget, and then you rewatch and you refresh. You reinstill ideas in your mind. You crazy cat. You gonna make it? So, anyways, that's just a quick, it's not really quick, but that's just a little bit of advice for beginning, you younger guys or gals that are beginning to want to farm or have the idea that you want to farm or the ambition to farm. I would get a decent job so you have a decent income and start small and grow into it. You know, when I started, we bought 82 acres here, and now I bought the 35 on the other side of the road. I rent 16, and I got 4.5 down to the park. That's what I run on. It's not all usable land. I've got swamp that you can't do nothing with. I've got woods that I can't get to do anything with. Just trying to do the best that I can with what I have, and not be double mortgaging anything to buy stuff. Anybody that watches my videos probably thinks it's half-assed, but it's got to be that way. You know, if I didn't buy a $150 sprayer, if I went and bought a $5,000 sprayer, I'd probably still be making payments on it. You know, it's just things like that. So, you know, I would say first, a decent job. Second is starting small. You know, or second would be knowledge of everything. Third would be starting small. Fourth would be learning how to use wrenches and tools. Because the more you can fix yourself, the more you can save in the long run. And when I mean save, I don't mean just money. I mean time and everything. So, anyways, if there's any comments, questions, criticism, leave them in the comments below. If anybody has any questions and wants to hear more of me rambling, feel free to leave a comment, and I will add more videos of said topics. Anyhow, hope you're all having a great day. Hope things are going great in your corner of the world. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one.